Hey everyone. Hey everyone. Car Chronicles. Don't worry. I'll go back to the regularly scheduled program after this month. So happy Caribbean Heritage Month, or more so Caribbean American Heritage Month. Thank you for the new subscribers, new followers. I would just want to let you know a little bit as to why I started my page, Pain to Progress. I started this a little bit over 2 years ago for the 53 million people suffering from chronic pain, because I'm suffering from chronic pain and all these other ailments, right? And I also wanted, and I started talking about navigating the healthcare system, navigating different systems, the healthcare system, judicial system. I talked about, at that time when I started the video, I was finishing up my master's, just navigating that. And it just thrived and flourished into me talking about different topics that we all go through in life. So I feel like there's a little bit of information for everyone. Then I added poems to it. For Women's History Month, I started doing a poem or two. And I just want to thank you for following me, for sharing, for liking, for taking time to listen to little old me. I appreciate you. But I want to tell you how I came up with my slogan, Remember Your Power. So when I started the video, I was going through a lot of stuff and overcoming a lot of stuff. It was, I don't really want to share this, but I was overcoming depression. I was overcoming, I put a restraining order out of my ex-husband and the courts lifted it. I was overcoming that and having to move to a new state. I was overcoming navigating being a single mom with boys who were just dealing with a divorce and how to help them heal and be great students and just thrive, in a new state. And I also was overcoming the loss of Journey, who is an angel that my twin sister lost at 9 months, 3 days. So, and I had PTSD and all that other stuff. And one day I was attempting to commit suicide. And I said, I was on OD on pills. And I said, nah, Trisha, remember your power. You got to remember your power. And the voice said, I need you to stay around, remember your power, and teach others how to remember your power. And the way that I remember my power, I remember my roots. So for those who don't know, I am U.S. born. I'm a citizen, but my parents are Jamaican. So I say I'm Jamaican. I am Jamaican. And how I learned to remember my power is that I learned my culture. I learned the culture, both cultures, what my ancestors have been through. I learned the history. I love history. I learn by asking. I learn by reading. I learn a lot of those things. But growing up, I wanted to speak patwa. That's the dialect that Jamaicans speak. Even though they're colonized by the British, they speak English. But patwa is the dialect, their origin, their roots. And I wanted to speak patwa, Jamaican. And I will say certain things, well, I'll go on, to my mom just to get her to start speaking to me. And she's like, no, what is going on? How are you? She will always correct me. And I say, Mom, how come we never speak Jamaican to us, to me? I want to learn. I want to learn these things. She's like, well, why? It won't do you any good. You're born in the US. You're an American, you know? You won't need it to navigate around in this part in the States. And I said, but that's part of my culture. That's the roots. And you guys talk it, they speak it. I have brothers and sisters who were born in Jamaica. 3, to my knowledge. 3. And then I have cousins, and most of my family, majority, were born in Jamaica. So I said, well, I want to learn it, and I can't learn it if you don't teach me. And then in my 20s, I said, okay, my mom's not going to teach me. I didn't really try to ask my dad too much. My mom is not going to teach me. Let me learn it on my own. So I started just listening and trying to interject on conversations that my family members were having. Where you say? Where you there? Where you go? And it'll be funny. I'll sound funny at first. And then I started reading and listening on YouTube, or there was someone teaching this is how you say different things. And then looking at cookbooks, because good food is a part of Jamaican culture, you know. Then my brother wrote a book. My brother wrote a book, and in this book has helped me a lot for learning the dialect. Tanny Anderson, you can find on Amazon. And I started speaking to my brother and sister. I called and say, listen, I want to speak. I want to speak. Can you help me speak? What you say? Where you go? Yeah. A true. What? You know, just different. Let's suck your mother. I would learn the curse words first. Because I was like, what does that mean? Blood clot, this, that. You know, any language, I learned the curse words first. That they taught me. My brother didn't teach me. I asked him, but any language where I was learning, they taught me that the curse words first, which is just another story. But I would start talking to my brother, my sister, and my sister was like, "Why you want to learn? Go, no, ask somebody else." My brother would be like, "No, you don't need to learn it. You know, you're American. It's okay." But I just started talking and teaching myself, and I said, "Okay, if they're not going to teach me, I'm going to teach myself. Because how am I remember my power if I can't remember my roots and embrace the culture that birthed me, that I was raised in, you know?" So I said, I said, go. May I chat because I want. May I learn because I want. And may I Jamaican true and true. That's what I say. And I just keep talking. I just keep talking. I just keep talking. I keep learning. I keep flowing, and I learn new words, and that's it. And I keep asking until I found someone who was willing to teach me. And little words here, little words there. Oh, how you write this, how you do this, how you do this. And that's it. So remember your power. And thanks for listening.